Hey, today I'm going to show you how you turn this basic sphere into this earth dragon in nomadsculpt. So what you're going to want to do is start off with a basic primitive and then use the move brush to give it basic shapes. And how I was doing the neck is I maxed out an area, I pulled it down and then started giving it shape to sort of proportions I'd like. A good thing to keep in mind is that for anything you're doing is to have some forward reference. I'm not going to lie, I didn't do this because I was doing it as a our speed sculpt challenge to myself, just because. But if you do want to do it for a proper project, I do highly recommend just having a series of reference images ready to just draw upon. Like some images in the back of my mind I had while I was doing this was actually like a sort of like T-Rex, just a giant dinosaur, because I want this to have a more like brutish vibe to it. What I like to feel it does have in the end. We'll get there when we get there. But a good rule of thumb is just always have some form of reference, especially if you're doing anything organic. You really should be drawing from life as much as possible, because there's no great sense of inspiration. So a lot of what you'll be doing in this earlier stages is just use the clay and move brush to really be giving everything its primary forms, because building primary forms is some of the most important stuff you'd be doing in this stage. Because it's basically just having a good skeleton and a good foundation to be then moving on to everything else. So the main tools you'll be using in this stage is crease, clay, and just move. Those will really be like your good building block tools, just to get everything in proportion, because I think throughout this entire part I haven't actually used anything besides those, except for maybe flatten, just to help give it a bit more shape. And so for what I'm doing now is I added a sphere, I mirrored it, and what I'm going to do now is add a curve multiplier. To sort of give some funky horns to it. These are by far some of the easiest ways to do organic flowing horns. And you're able to get some pretty fun results pretty quickly. And one thing I really like about this is if you click on the individual sphere itself, you'd then be able to start editing it, and then it'll have this ripple effect down the rest of the curve you've added. And it's a really good for adding a quick detail, but you do have to be a bit more careful with this, because if you add how many do I have there? I have 36 spheres in that, so double that, that says 72. So this will build up your poly count pretty quickly. I'm lucky enough to have a fairly strong device that can handle multiple millions of polygons fairly easily, but it is also something you should probably be keeping in mind, just so you don't go too overboard. And that's just a good rule of thumb. For a lot of stuff, especially in the earlier stages, is keep it as low as you can. Just because it then gives you a lot more control when you get into the later elements of it. Not gonna lie, I found this kind of weird. This is my first time I've actually done a proper sort of tutorial kind of thing, and I'm kind of not sure what to say, because I just do this a lot of the time on live streams, so people just sort of follow it and ask questions as I'm doing it. But watching back and trying to remember all the process is kind of really weird to me. But yeah, it's just a lot of what sculpting is just additive, and then additive then subtractive work. That's a good way to just keep everything in mind. Once you add something, you may want to remove something, just to really give it a lot more shape. Oh, what I did here was I just inserted another eye, because eyes are a lot easier to work with once you actually have the individual piece itself. Well, the eyeball itself, because the eye isn't just a flat structure on the face, so it's easier to put one in and then work around it. I do have some issues with them still. They're definitely something I need to work on. But that's just a way I've been doing it. Also, another thing I really want anyone who's ever doing any creature design to think of is always try to give your creature a bit of a story. I want this guy to be this earth dragon that probably burrowing around a lot. That's why I extruded this jaw a bit more, to make it seem like a sort of excavation thing you see on a construction job site. There's ones with the giant bucket hands. His mouth would be working in the same sort of way, where he did just be use his nose horn to break through a lot of rocks, and then using his big old gullet to chomp on him down. Just over little stuff like that. I'm then gonna start reworking horns later, just to make them seem a bit stronger and just give them a bit more of a fun silhouette. But it's all of these little things that you should be thinking of, just how can I really be telling a story just from the visuals alone? But yeah, again, this guy wasn't actually planned to be a sort of tutorial piece. I probably should do a proper one where I'm actually trying to break down how I do something fully, because this was actually a speed so count challenge, as I said. And so I haven't actually really done it in the most fluid way of actually teaching someone how to do something. Like, if you're just doing this stuff and following it, and somehow getting, like, information from it, what you find useful, like, I'm glad. And if you have, like, any sort of things you, like, I want to hear from you in future, just be able to portray, like, a lot more of this information a lot more clearly, yeah, let me know, because this is something I'm still fairly new to. Well, I'm not new to sculpting, I'm just new to, like, presenting videos in, like, such a way. But also, a fun thing about the curve multiplier is how much control you actually have over editing, because the little orange spheres, like, they'll pop up in a second again. Those are control radius, and the purple ones are to control a twist. So that's how you're able to, like, augment these even further. And this is where I actually started, like, even going further with the earth-based design, where I try to, like, make the horns as if they'd be shovels as well, so they actually move stuff out of the way. Yeah, as well as just creating a bit more of a nice silhouette, because that, once again, silhouettes are very key to a lot of designs. Like, say for example, Homer Simpson and the Xenomorph. If you just have them both completely blocked out in black, just as a pure silhouette, you'd be able to tell which one's which pretty easily. But let's say for, like, most anime characters, just here's my issue with isekais, real quick. Most of the, like, protagonists look exactly the same, and you can never break one out of a silhouette, out of lineup. So that's why I say a lot more of these uniquer designs that are going to be a lot more beneficial, and they're going to stand out. And here I am actually carving some scales. Scales are layered. This is actually a different way for what I normally do. Because say for next as well, I'd actually use a curve multiplier as well. So yeah, just to, like, quickly do it, but I wanted to try something slightly different this time around, just to sort of, like, push myself. Like, a real important thing to try and do there is just to remember you have to layer it all up. As well as, like, oh yeah, what sort of scales would these feel like? Since this guy would be, like, burrowing a lot, and his scales would just constantly be getting hit, like, they should have a lot rougher texture than, say, a bearded dragon. Yeah, this is, once again, is why you should be bringing up references for whatever you're doing. Yeah, just so you're able to actually draw from more inspiration and actually have a better understanding of what it is. Like, if you do want to get into creature design, I really do recommend you get some just, like, a lot of animal anatomy books, obviously, but also, like, maybe just watch a lot of nature documentaries just to understand, like, animal behavioral stuff, as well as like what sort of environments they're in, and then just other little tidbits like that. But I also want to preface, like, it's important to, like, ground your studies in just what you're making, but you have to also be able to, like, if you want to make something that looks cool, let it look cool. That's one of your, like, liberties as an artist. So, like, if you just do everything down to earth, like, all of our fantasy creatures, it would just be, like, plain and boring. Like, I know, like, the shovel design would work a lot better if it was flat, but guess what? I thought it would look cooler if these horns were a bit more twisted, because why not? Just give it a bit more visual flair. Like, I didn't like it. If I not like that. But yeah, it just, like, makes it seem a bit more interesting, and once again, it harpers back to that whole silhouette of it all, of just, like, allowing something to be cool for the sake of being cool. Like, yes, you have to be able to ground it to some extent, but just have fun with this. Like, you're the creator of this. You're able to do what you want at the end of the day. Because say for example, Smiling Friends, like, by most rules of thumb, the designs there do not follow any real cohesive logic, and just do, like, the bare minimum of, like, oh, this is somewhat humanoid. I guess that kind of works. But again, like, you're able to create whatever you want for whatever world you're telling it in. But if you have to be able to ground it and, like, justify it. Okay, not gonna lie, like, talking for this long is actually a lot harder than I was expecting, and no wonder, like, a lot of other sculpting channels I see just do the time lapse itself. But I definitely need to try and work on, like, being a bit more concise and just every bits and pieces. Like, I'm so new to this, but again, it's something that I really need to learn to do properly, because I do want to, like, turn this into an actual career of mine, and not just creating things, but also, like, creating content for it. Because I find it a lot of fun, because I like being able to share stories with people. Like, take, for example, Randy over here. Whilst I was doing my live for him, a lot of us were coming up with little ideas, and, like, we really like this idea of this ancient earth dragon that was worshipped by, like, this subterranean group of people, who would then, like, he would go out of his way to sort of create more tunnels to, like, expand his own space, but would also be, like, ambivalent enough to let, like, all these people to roam around and expand their territory. What is kind of interesting, because, like, imagine that there was a giant mole rat, doing all these tunnels, and it didn't really care about the people, but it was at the same time, it was, like, chill enough to just let them exist with it. Like, it's more of just a force of nature, an animal doing its own thing, and what people would then, like, respect as a deity, and I found that really cool, and I want to, like, potentially explore that even further and use it in like whatever potential ever stories I could be making. And that's something I really love about this. From creating all these stories, then I get invested, and hopefully a viewer actually gets invested in like exploring these characters even more. Because of this little information I have about Randy, all this little stories I have about him, I really want to create him as a full sort of like character. I want to like give him a body. I want to like insert him into things instead of just being like a one-off bust. And that's just such a fun thing to do. And for anyone who is just getting into creating, like always just do it for the sake of it being fun. Don't like try to get like too worked up in that whole idea of like, oh yeah, guys, if I can't make something good, why bother? Like, no, just make something for the sake of making it. And if something is authentic enough, people will be drawn to it. And yeah, that's just some advice I really stand by. But yeah, here is how to sculpt a dragon bust on Nomad sculpt. It's been a fun one, and I will definitely need to like work on my presentation a bit more and probably learn how to write scripts a bit better. But yeah, that's how you do it, and this is lovely old Randy. So if you happen to watch this far and like the video, yeah, please like and subscribe. So yeah, have a lovely day, guys. Peace out. Bye.